Welcome to World Information HD, your portal into the extraordinary hidden in the everyday. Like the humble Lincoln penny. It looks ordinary, just a copper coin in your pocket. But wait, some of these 1-cent coins can be worth millions. From World War II minting mistakes to vanished designer initials, we're unraveling the stories behind the rarest, most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered. The year was 1973, a time of change, progress, and hidden treasures that most people would never realize were hiding in plain sight. In the pockets of millions of Americans jingled a small copper coin that would, for the vast majority, spend its life passing from hand to hand without a second thought. It was the Lincoln 1-cent penny, simple, common, and often overlooked. But among the billions produced, a select few carried a subtle trait that would set them apart for decades to come, transforming them from pocket change into treasures worth a fortune today. This is the story of the United States of America's 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that, at first glance, appears utterly ordinary, yet hides a rarity so captivating that collectors and coin enthusiasts around the world chase it with relentless passion. To understand why this coin has captured so much attention, we need to journey back to the U.S. Mint in the early 1970s. 1973 was an era dominated by copper pennies, 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them that distinct reddish-brown tone that has defined the Lincoln cent since 1909. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, had already become an icon in American currency. On the obverse, we see the bust of President Abraham Lincoln, facing right, with the word, Liberty, to his left, and the date, 1973, to his right. Above his head reads the nation's proud declaration, "In God We Trust." The reverse features the stately Lincoln Memorial, surrounded by the inscriptions, "United States of America," and 1 cent, with "E pluribus unum" in smaller letters above the memorial. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The 1973 no-mint mark penny specifically refers to coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. You see, coins from the Denver Mint carry a small d below the date, while coins from San Francisco carry an S mint mark. But Philadelphia? At the time, the Philadelphia Mint traditionally did not use a mint mark for pennies. That means the absence of a mint mark wasn't an error for Philadelphia-struck coins. It was normal. So why is this penny valuable? Surely, if billions were made without a mint mark, there's nothing special about it. That's the question most casual observers ask, and that's where the mystery deepens. While the lack of a mint mark was standard for Philadelphia, the condition, die quality, and specific striking characteristics of certain 1973 pennies make them extraordinarily rare in high grades. In other words, the value is not just about the mint mark, it's about perfection. Coin collectors use a grading scale called the Sheldon scale, which runs from 1 to 70. A coin graded 70 is considered perfect, flawless under magnification, with sharp details, original luster, and absolutely no signs of wear or damage. Most coins from 1973, having spent decades in circulation, are nowhere near this perfect state. But once in a while, a coin survives the decades in pristine condition. Perhaps it was placed in a collector's set at the time of minting, or stored away in a drawer without ever seeing circulation. When it comes to the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, those rare, perfectly preserved examples, especially in mint states 67, 68, or even 69, can command astonishing prices at auctions. And here's the twist: finding such a coin isn't as easy as sifting through your change. The odds are incredibly slim, because copper is soft and easily scratches, dents, and loses its luster over time. Imagine this: 2 pennies, both from 1973, both without a mint mark. One has been rattling around in pockets, change jars, and vending machines for years, its surface dull and worn. The other has been sitting untouched for decades, preserved exactly as it was struck. While the first is worth a single cent, the second could be worth thousands. That's the magic of coin collecting. Condition is everything. But rarity and grade isn't the only factor here. Die varieties also play a role. Sometimes, during the minting process, small differences occur due to die wear, doubling, or misalignments. One of the most sought-after varieties in the Lincoln Penny series is the doubled die, where parts of the design, such as the date, lettering, or Lincoln's profile, appear doubled under magnification. While the 1973 doubled die varieties are not as famous as those from earlier years like 1955 or 1969s, they still exist and can add substantial value when combined with a high grade. Then there's the historical context. 1973 was just before the U.S. Mint began experimenting with different penny compositions in response to rising copper prices. Within a decade, the traditional copper penny would be replaced with a copper-plated zinc core, dramatically changing its weight and feel. That means the 1973 penny represents one of the last eras of true, heavy copper cents, a fact that gives it a nostalgic charm for collectors. If you hold a 1973 no-mint mark penny today, the first thing you should do is examine its condition. Look for sharp, crisp details in Lincoln's hair and coat. The lettering should be bold, with no signs of flattening from wear. The fields, the flat areas around the design, should be smooth and reflective, with as few marks as possible. Under magnification, a truly valuable specimen will show no scratches, spots, or discoloration. But even if you find a penny in seemingly great condition, professional grading is key. The difference between mint state 65 and mint state 67 can mean hundreds, or even thousands of dollars. That's why collectors often send their coins to grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, where experts evaluate and certify the coin's grade. Over the years, auctions have revealed just how much demand there is for the finest examples of this coin. While common circulated pieces are worth only face value, top-tier coins have brought in staggering prices. The thrill of owning one of the best-preserved pennies from that year, a coin that has survived half a century without a single imperfection, drives collectors into fierce bidding wars. Think about it, a penny that once bought a stick of gum could now buy you a brand new car. That transformation from pocket change to treasure is part of what makes numismatics, the study and collection of coins, so fascinating. It's not just about metal and design, but about history, rarity, and the passage of time. Another layer to the appeal of the 1973 penny is its connection to American history. Lincoln himself remains one of the most admired and studied presidents, and his image on the penny carries a symbolic weight. Every time you look at that coin, you're reminded of a leader who shaped the nation. And when that coin happens to be one of the rarest and most valuable examples of its kind, it becomes both a historical artifact and a financial asset. Collectors often recall stories of their first great find, perhaps spotting an uncirculated penny in an old coin jar or buying a roll of cents from the bank and discovering a gem inside. The idea that such treasure could be hiding in everyday change keeps the hunt alive. It's a reminder that valuable history can be hiding in the most ordinary of places. For those interested in searching, patience is essential. You could go through thousands of pennies before finding one worth sending to a grader. And even then, high-grade coins are usually discovered not in circulation, but in original mint sets or carefully preserved rolls from decades past. That's why estate sales, antique shops, and coin shows can be prime hunting grounds. Now, while the thrill of the hunt is exciting, the market for high-grade 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies is also about careful preservation. If you believe you've found one in excellent shape, avoid cleaning it. Doing so can dramatically reduce its value. Instead, store it in a protective holder to prevent scratches and tarnish. The beauty of this coin lies not only in its design, but in the journey it's taken over 50 years. From the day it was struck in Philadelphia to the moment it's discovered by a collector, each rare penny carries its own untold story. Perhaps it was part of someone's savings, forgotten in a desk drawer, or included in a mint set purchased as a gift decades ago. Whatever its path, when it emerges in pristine condition, it becomes something far greater than its humble denomination. And now, we arrive at the moment every collector dreams of, discovering just how much the rarest and most perfect example of this coin can be worth. In the vast and fascinating world of coin collecting, there are certain coins that capture the imagination of collectors and enthusiasts alike, not just because of their historical significance, but also because of their rarity and the stories behind them. Among these treasures lies an often overlooked but incredibly intriguing coin, the United States of America 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it may appear as just another humble penny, a small copper coin you might find at the bottom of your pocket or hiding between the cushions of your couch. But once you take a closer look, you begin to understand why this coin holds a special place in the hearts of numismatists, and why it can be worth far more than its face value. The year 1977 itself holds a certain charm for coin collectors. It was a time before the digital era fully took over, when coinage still carried with it the subtle craftsmanship and care of minting processes that relied heavily on precision machinery and experienced hands. In the case of the Lincoln 1-cent penny, this was a coin that had already seen decades of circulation since its debut in 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by the talented Victor David Brenner, the obverse features the dignified profile of Lincoln, while the reverse of the coin proudly displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to replace the earlier wheat ears motif. The 1977 issue was produced primarily at two locations, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. The Denver Mint coins bore the DE Mint mark, while coins struck in Philadelphia during this time carried no mint mark at all. That lack of a mint mark is what gives the 1977 no mint mark penny its identifying feature. For those unfamiliar, it's important to note that the absence of a mint mark in itself is not necessarily rare for Philadelphia coins of this era. Philadelphia didn't begin placing the P mint mark on pennies until 2017. However, what makes certain 1977 no mint mark pennies valuable is not simply the absence of a letter, but rather the coin's condition, unique minting anomalies, and collector demand. When talking about coin values, collectors consider several critical factors. Chief among them is condition, or what numismatists refer to as grade. Coins that have been heavily circulated, showing scratches, wear, and dull luster, will fetch far less on the market than coins preserved in exceptional, almost untouched states. A 1977 penny that has survived in mint state, with sharp details and a bright, original luster, becomes far more desirable to those seeking to add a pristine specimen to their collection. Another factor that drives up the value of this coin is minting errors. In the world of coin collecting, errors are like hidden treasures, accidents in the minting process that produce unusual, or one-of-a-kind coins. Some 1977 pennies are known to have striking errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. A doubled die can produce slight doubling in the lettering or date, giving the coin a unique and instantly recognizable characteristic. Off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, create a coin with a strikingly unusual appearance. These errors are prized because they are relatively rare, and the rarity combined with the unique visual effect creates strong demand among collectors. But the true magic of this coin lies in the historical and cultural connection it carries. The Lincoln penny has been one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history, a testament to the enduring respect Americans have for the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. In 1977, the penny still held significant purchasing power. It could buy a piece of candy, make up part of a newspaper purchase, or help a child start a coin collection. Holding a penny from that year today is like holding a time capsule from the late 1970s, a period marked by cultural shifts, economic challenges, and moments of innovation. Collectors often reminisce about how they stumbled across their first valuable penny. Sometimes it's by pure chance, finding one in spare change or while searching through a jar of coins at home. Other times, it's through deliberate hunting, checking coin rolls from banks or attending local coin shows. The 1977 no-mint mark penny continues to surface in both these ways, but high-grade examples or coins with unique errors remain elusive. That scarcity in top condition is exactly what fuels the excitement. The Philadelphia Mint, responsible for producing the no-mint mark coins, struck hundreds of millions of pennies in 1977. This might make it seem like the coin is far from rare, but here's the twist: time is the great reducer. Over the decades, most of these coins have been lost to wear, damage, and even melting during times when copper prices surged. As a result, Uncirculated or near-perfect examples have become increasingly scarce. When grading coins, professional services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, play a huge role in determining value. A 1977 penny graded MS-65, mint state 65, or higher can command impressive prices, especially if it exhibits a rich red luster, known as red in grading terminology, as opposed to the brown or red-brown hues that pennies develop over time. Collectors will pay a premium for coins that look almost exactly as they did the moment they left the mint presses. Another aspect worth noting is the coin's metal composition. The 1977 Lincoln penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the major change in 1982 when the U.S. Mint shifted to a primarily zinc composition with a thin copper coating, making earlier all-copper pennies more sought after. The metal itself, while not the primary driver of collectible value, adds a layer of appeal for those who appreciate the weight and feel of the original copper coinage. For anyone interested in finding or selling a 1977 no-mint mark penny, there are a few important steps to follow. First, carefully examine the coin under good lighting. Look for sharp details, original luster, and minimal scratches or contact marks. If the coin appears to be in outstanding condition, consider sending it to a professional grading service. This authentication and grading process can significantly boost its market appeal and reassure potential buyers of its authenticity and quality. When it comes time to sell, there are several avenues: local coin shops, coin shows, online marketplaces like eBay, and specialized auction houses. Each has its own pros and cons. Coin shops may offer immediate payment, but sometimes lower offers due to their need to resell for profit. Auctions, especially those catering to serious collectors, can yield higher returns if multiple bidders are competing for a particularly rare or pristine example. For those who enjoy treasure hunting, searching through bank-wrapped rolls of pennies remains a popular pastime. While it takes patience and persistence, the thrill of discovering a high-grade 1977 no-mint mark penny in circulation is an unmatched feeling for collectors. Many numismatists will tell you that half the joy of coin collecting lies in the hunt itself. It's also worth considering the long-term investment potential of coins like the 1977 no-mint mark penny. While coin collecting should first and foremost be a hobby driven by passion, there's no denying that certain coins appreciate in value over time. With the continued loss of high-grade examples through wear and the enduring popularity of Lincoln cents among collectors, the potential for appreciation remains strong. The story of this coin is not just about copper, minting dates, and auction prices, it's about connection. Every 1977 penny passed from hand to hand, pocket to register, carrying with it untold stories. It may have been part of a cashier's till in a small-town diner, dropped into a gumball machine by a child, or given as change in a bustling city store. Each one has traveled, lived, and aged in its own way. Collectors value these coins not only for their rarity or condition but because they are tangible links to the past. They remind us that even the smallest objects can hold great significance, that history is often found in the most ordinary of places, and that value is sometimes hidden in plain sight. So the next time you come across a 1977 penny without a mint mark, take a moment to appreciate it. Look closely at the details: the curve of Lincoln's profile, the careful lettering, the tiny date stamped at the bottom. You might just be holding something far more valuable than a single cent, and for those lucky enough to discover a pristine, high-grade example or one with a rare minting error, the reward can be truly remarkable. In fact, a well-preserved 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln penny in exceptional condition has been known to reach an astounding price of $31,938. In the vast world of coin collecting, where every small detail can mean the difference between a coin worth only a cent and one that could change your life, there are certain years and certain mints that spark the imagination of collectors everywhere. One of these fascinating treasures lies within a seemingly ordinary year, 1978. At first glance, a penny from this year might appear just like the countless others you've seen in your change jar or passed along without a second thought. But, as is often the case in numismatics, the devil is in the details, and sometimes, those details can be worth more than gold. The year 1978 was a time of change in the United States. Inflation was rising, the economy was shifting, and in the numismatic world, the humble Lincoln cent still carried its classic design, honoring the 16th president with Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait. The reverse still displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. At the U.S. Mint, coins were being struck in the millions, flowing out of Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The 1978 penny came in several forms, but the one we're focusing on today is the no-mint mark version, struck at the Philadelphia Mint. This absence of a mint mark is not a rare occurrence in itself. After all, for much of its history, the Philadelphia Mint didn't put a mint mark on circulating coins. However, not all 1978 pennies are created equal, and certain examples stand out for their exceptional preservation, sharpness of strike, and sheer rarity in high grades. When collectors hunt for a 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln cent, they are looking for coins that appear almost untouched by time, coins that have survived without a single distracting scratch, spot, or blemish. These aren't just pennies you'd find rattling around in your pocket change. They are time capsules, preserved with an almost impossible perfection. The slightest imperfection, a small nick on Lincoln's cheek, a faint discoloration on the memorial, can bring the value tumbling down. Now, what makes some of these coins so valuable? It's a combination of factors. First, the strike quality. The best examples were struck with fresh dies, leaving crisp, sharp details in Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat, as well as in the columns and steps of the memorial. Second, the luster. Uncirculated coins have a shimmering, almost mirror-like surface that reflects light in a captivating way. And third, the condition. Coins graded at the highest levels by professional grading services, such as Mint State 67 or 68, are rare beyond imagination. To find such a coin is no easy task. Most 1978 pennies entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint, enduring years of wear and tear. Imagine the journey of an average penny. It jingles in 100 pockets, rattles around in cash registers, slides across counters, falls into jars, and perhaps even spends decades forgotten in a drawer. By the time a coin like this reaches a collector, it's likely covered in scratches, spots, and dulling from years of handling. This is why high-grade survivors are so prized. They represent a small miracle, a coin that somehow escaped the rigors of circulation for more than 4 decades. Many of these have been found in original bank-wrapped rolls or mint sets, untouched since 1978. Even then, not every coin in such a roll will meet the demanding standards of top collectors. Some collectors are also fascinated by varieties and errors in the 1978 no-mint mark penny. Occasionally, you might come across a doubled die, where the design appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment in the die during production. While major doubled dies are not widely reported for this year, there are minor variations in strike and die deterioration that can intrigue specialists. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and other minting mishaps can also add to a coin's desirability. What's more, this penny holds a special place in the Lincoln series. It represents one of the final years before the dramatic shift in composition that would occur in 1982, when the mint switched from the traditional 95% copper composition to a copper-plated zinc planchet. The 1978 cent, like all pre-1982 pennies, is a solid copper coin weighing 3.11 grams, a fact that not only appeals to collectors but also to those who appreciate the tangible quality of older coinage. The copper content alone gives these pennies a certain nostalgic charm. Hold one in your hand, and you feel the weight, the warmth of the metal, and perhaps even the history it has witnessed. In a world where most coins are now lighter, thinner, and made from less noble metals, the older Lincoln cents are a tangible reminder of a different era in American currency. If you were to examine a pristine 1978 no-mint mark penny under magnification, you'd see just how intricate Brenner's design truly is. The fine lines of Lincoln's hair, the subtle folds of his coat, the definition in the columns of the memorial, these are works of art struck into metal. For the highest graded examples, the details are so crisp that they almost seem to leap off the surface. The process of grading such coins is meticulous. Professional graders examine every surface for marks, luster, color, and strike quality. The difference between a coin graded Mint State 66 and Mint State 67 might be invisible to the untrained eye but can mean hundreds, or even thousands of dollars in value. So how does one come across a top-tier example of the 1978 no mint mark penny? The truth is, it's often a combination of luck, patience, and knowledge. Searching through old coin rolls from banks, buying unsearched coin lots, or inheriting coins from relatives who saved mint sets decades ago, all of these can be potential sources. But the rarest gems are usually found through specialized coin dealers, auctions, or grading submissions from long-held collections. For many collectors, the joy isn't just in the financial value of such a coin, it's in the thrill of the hunt, the appreciation of history, and the satisfaction of preserving a small piece of American heritage. Every coin tells a story, and the 1978 no mint mark Lincoln cent tells one of survival, beauty, and rarity. Think about it, out of the millions of pennies struck in Philadelphia that year, only a handful have reached the pinnacle of condition and grading that collectors crave. These survivors are the elite of their kind, the shining examples that stand out in a sea of ordinary copper coins. In the world of numismatics, value is never just about metal content. It's about rarity, demand, and the magic of condition. A perfect 1978 penny is like a diamond in the rough, common in one sense, but extraordinary in another. And when the right coin comes along, with all the right qualities in place, collectors are willing to pay handsomely to make it theirs. Now, if you're holding a 1978 penny in your hand right now, don't get your hopes up too quickly. It's likely that it has seen its fair share of use. But that doesn't mean it's worthless. Even well-circulated examples can be fun to keep, especially as a memento of an era when pennies were still mostly copper. However, if you happen to find one in near-perfect condition, with blazing luster and flawless surfaces, you might just have stumbled upon something truly special. Coins like these often make their way to prestigious auction houses, where seasoned bidders compete to own the finest known specimens. The excitement in the room is palpable when such a coin crosses the block, and the final hammer price is often a testament to just how much collectors treasure these little copper discs. And so, in the grand tapestry of American coinage, the 1978 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny stands as a reminder that even in the most ordinary places, in the bottom of a change jar, in an old desk drawer, in the dusty corners of a bank vault, there can be hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Treasures that, under the right circumstances, can command astonishing prices in the numismatic world. For the very finest known example of this unassuming coin, a collector once paid an incredible $29,486. In the world of coin collecting, there are treasures that hide in plain sight, small, humble pieces of metal that pass through countless hands every day, yet secretly carry stories of history, rarity, and immense value. One such coin is the 1981 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that has quietly gained the attention of collectors, dealers, and enthusiasts across the globe. At first glance, it seems like just another ordinary penny, something you might find resting at the bottom of your pocket or stuck between your couch cushions. But beneath its modest copper-colored surface lies a fascinating tale, one that reveals how something so seemingly common can be worth far more than its face value. The 1981 Lincoln penny came at a time of transition in American coinage history. It was the final full year that the United States Mint produced the penny primarily from a copper alloy before switching to a predominantly zinc composition in mid-1982. This shift was largely due to rising copper prices, which made it impractical for the government to continue minting 1-cent coins that cost nearly as much, or in some cases, even more, to produce than they were worth in circulation. This fact alone makes late-date copper pennies especially interesting to collectors, as they represent the end of an era in American coin manufacturing. The Lincoln cent, introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had already gone through decades of subtle changes in design and composition. Yet the 1981 version stands out for reasons beyond its place in history. The specific variation we're talking about here, the 1981 no mint mark Lincoln penny, is a coin without any visible mint mark under the date on the obverse side. While Philadelphia minted pennies typically lacked mint marks for much of the 20th century, the absence of a mint mark on certain coins can sometimes be linked to unusual production quirks, striking errors, or extremely high-grade examples that set them apart from the billions of regular issues. To understand why this coin has caught the attention of numismatists, we need to dive into the details of its production. In 1981, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. While the majority of these coins were struck without error and entered circulation unnoticed, a small fraction emerged in pristine, almost flawless condition, surviving decades without the scratches, dents, and wear that typically plague coins in everyday use. These high-quality survivors, graded by professional services like PCGS and NGC, can be worth far more than their humble denomination suggests. One factor that adds intrigue to the 1981 penny is the difference between the Type 1 and Type 2 proof and business strike varieties of that year. Though proof coins were struck mainly in San Francisco, some collectors have noted the subtle differences in the shape of the S in the proof coins and slight variations in the lettering and design details on business strike issues. While the no mint mark 1981 penny is not a proof coin, careful examination of its lettering, rim, and Lincoln portrait can reveal striking sharpness in certain specimens, sharpness that, when paired with brilliant luster and minimal contact marks, drives collector demand sky high. Condition is everything in coin collecting, and the 1981 no mint mark penny is no exception. A well-worn example pulled from a change jar may only fetch its face value, but a mint-state example, especially one graded MS-67 or higher, can command impressive prices at auction. The rarity factor comes not from the number of coins minted, but from the number that remain in perfect, untouched condition after more than 40 years. Think about it, pennies are the workhorses of American currency, passed through countless transactions, dropped, scratched, and exposed to the elements. To find one from 1981 that still gleams like the day it left the mint is a remarkable feat. Collectors prize these coins for their combination of historical significance, copper composition, and condition rarity. The 1981 penny also benefits from the long-standing popularity of the Lincoln cent series. Unlike some short-lived designs or obscure denominations, Lincoln pennies have been a staple of U.S. coinage for over a century, and nearly every American has handled one. This familiarity, combined with the thrill of hunting for valuable dates and conditions, has kept the Lincoln cent at the center of the coin collecting world. Auction records have shown that top-grade 1981 no mint mark Lincoln pennies can sell for staggering sums compared to their 1-cent face value. These sales are often driven by competitive bidding between collectors determined to secure the best possible specimen for their registry sets, curated collections graded and ranked by condition. In the world of registry set collecting, a single point in grade can make the difference between an average coin and a record-breaking one. This competitive spirit can push prices higher than casual observers might ever imagine for something as common-looking as a penny. Another fascinating aspect of the 1981 no mint mark penny is its role in the transitional period leading to the 1982 composition change. Collectors often group late-date copper cents together as a final chapter before the zinc era began. This adds a layer of nostalgia and historical context, as these coins represent the last time the penny was made primarily from the same copper alloy used since 1909. Holding a high-grade 1981 penny is like holding a piece of pre-1982 American coinage history, a tangible reminder of a time before economic factors reshaped even the smallest units of currency. Beyond the technical details, there's something inherently thrilling about the idea that a penny, something most people overlook or even toss aside, can carry significant value. It's a reminder that treasures can be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with a keen eye and the right knowledge to recognize them. Stories of people finding valuable coins in their spare change continue to inspire new generations of collectors. The 1981 no mint mark penny is part of that allure, proving that even in the modern era, coin hunting can yield surprising rewards. If you were to search for one of these pennies today, the best places to look would be coin rolls from banks, old jars of change, or inherited collections that have been sitting untouched for decades. While the odds of finding a pristine, top-grade example in circulation are slim, it's not impossible, especially if the coin was set aside shortly after minting and stored in a protective environment. For those who are serious about acquiring one, reputable coin dealers, coin shows, and online auctions are the best avenues. However, as with any collectible, it's essential to educate yourself and, when possible, buy coins that have been professionally graded to avoid counterfeits or misrepresented conditions. What's equally important to remember is that coin values are not static. The worth of a particular coin can rise or fall over time, influenced by factors like market demand, the discovery of new hoards, or changing trends in collecting. Right now, high-grade 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies are enjoying strong interest, but their long-term appeal is bolstered by their place in the enduringly popular Lincoln cent series and their connection to the pre-zinc era. Some might wonder why a no-mint mark coin from Philadelphia would be valuable when billions were made. The answer lies in the extreme scarcity of superb condition pieces. It's not the mint mark, or lack thereof, that makes these coins valuable in most cases, but rather their preservation, luster, strike quality, and eye appeal. Add in the fact that collectors love last of an era coins, and you have the perfect recipe for a sought-after modern collectible. The 1981 no-mint mark penny is also a perfect example of how everyday objects can hold extraordinary stories. Think about the journey of a single coin, from the moment a blank copper planchet is fed into the coining press, to the precise moment Lincoln's image and the date are struck into its surface, to the countless transactions it might have been a part of. Each coin carries a silent history. For the rare ones that survive unscathed, that journey ends not in a cash register, but in the careful hands of a collector who recognizes its value. This fascination with coins isn't just about money, it's about connection. Every coin is a small, portable piece of history, and when you hold a pristine 1981 penny, you're holding a snapshot of America in the early 1980s. Gasoline was cheap by today's standards. The music charts were filled with the sounds of a new decade, and the mint was on the cusp of a major change in how it made its smallest denomination. That tiny disc of copper in your hand is a tangible link to that moment in time. For anyone considering starting a coin collection, the 1981 no-mint mark penny is an excellent reminder to look beyond face value and pay attention to condition, history, and context. It's a coin that teaches patience, attention to detail, and appreciation for the craft of minting. In the world of coin collecting, some treasures hide in plain sight. They are not locked away in dusty bank vaults or displayed in shimmering museum cases. Instead, they sit quietly in our pockets, resting among loose change on a dresser, or jingling unnoticed in a coffee shop tip jar. One of these extraordinary treasures is the 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that, at first glance, appears utterly ordinary. But as any seasoned numismatist will tell you, looks can be deceiving. This is a coin with a fascinating backstory, a coin that captures a moment of change in American minting history, and one that has surprised collectors with its rarity and staggering value. The story of this penny begins in a year of transition for the United States Mint. In 1982, America was grappling with rising copper prices. The traditional Lincoln cent, made almost entirely of copper since 1909, had become too expensive to produce. Every penny cost more than a penny to make, and the mint needed a solution. Their answer was a switch from the nearly pure copper composition to a more economical copper-plated zinc core. But as with any transition, change didn't happen overnight. That year, both copper and zinc cents were struck, and to make things even more interesting, there were several design and size variations. It was a numismatic playground of small details that could transform a common cent into a collector's dream. One of the most intriguing variations to emerge from this chaotic minting year was the 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Most pennies struck in Philadelphia in earlier decades didn't carry a mint mark, so seeing a no-mint mark coin wasn't unusual at first glance. However, what set this particular issue apart was not just the absence of a mint mark, but its combination of composition, design, and strike quality. Many of the 1982 no-mint mark cents were struck with the smaller date style, a subtle but important design change that sharp-eyed collectors quickly learned to spot. Combine this with the fact that multiple die varieties existed in 1982, and suddenly, A simple penny became a complex puzzle. To the casual observer, the penny looked just like any other, the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet to collectors, the differences were significant. In 1982, there were large date and small date designs, copper and zinc compositions, and mint marks, or the lack thereof, to consider. Identifying the exact type requires close examination, sometimes even weighing the coin to distinguish copper, 3.11 grams, from zinc, 2.5 grams. The no mint mark small date copper variety became one of the most sought after, and over time, examples in exceptional condition became exceedingly rare. What makes a coin like this so valuable isn't just its age, it's the combination of scarcity, demand, and condition. The 1982 no mint mark penny came at a turning point in U.S. coinage, and transitional errors are a magnet for collector interest. Because both compositions were used that year, there were opportunities for accidental or intentional mixing, and coins with unusual traits began to surface. A small date struck in copper without a mint mark, in pristine condition, is far from common. Many of these coins went straight into circulation, where they suffered the nicks, scratches, and discoloration of everyday use. Finding one in mint state today is like finding a needle in a haystack. Collectors often describe the thrill of discovery as one of the main joys of numismatics. Imagine sifting through a pile of pocket change, your eyes scanning for that slightly different curvature of a number, that subtle spacing of a date, or the distinctive reddish hue of copper. It's detective work, requiring patience, knowledge, and sometimes a bit of luck. The 1982 no mint mark penny embodies that thrill. Every time one appears at auction, it sparks a wave of excitement across the coin community. Condition, as always, plays a pivotal role. A 1982 no mint mark penny that has been in circulation for decades may only be worth a modest premium over face value. But a coin that has survived the years without the faintest blemish, struck sharply and preserved with original mint luster, can command astonishing sums. Professional grading services assess these coins under magnification, noting every detail and imperfection. A flawless gem uncirculated specimen is a sight to behold, its surfaces gleaming, its edges crisp, and its details so sharp that Lincoln's hair and coat seem almost lifelike. The fascinating part about this coin's value is that many people still have no idea it's special. For decades, millions of Americans have handled pennies from 1982 without ever realizing they might be holding a small fortune in their hand. Some coins have been plucked from circulation by chance, discovered in inherited coin jars, or found while sorting through bank rolls. The internet has only amplified this hunt, with collectors sharing photos, videos, and stories of their finds, fueling a modern-day gold rush. Only this time, the gold is reddish-brown copper. Beyond the numbers and auction results, the 1982 no mint mark penny tells a story about change, both literal and symbolic. The United States Mint was adapting to economic pressures, transitioning its processes, and balancing tradition with practicality. Abraham Lincoln's profile had graced the cent for more than 70 years by 1982, and the memorial on the reverse was a familiar sight to generations. Yet beneath that familiar face, the very substance of the coin was shifting. In this way, the penny reflects the resilience and adaptability of the nation itself. Some collectors are drawn to this coin purely for its rarity and value, while others are captivated by the history it represents. The fact that such an unassuming piece of metal can embody so much economics, art, politics, and human curiosity is part of the magic of coin collecting. It's why people will spend hours hunched over magnifiers, why they memorize die characteristics, and weigh their coins to the hundredth of a gram. Every penny has a story, but some, like the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln cent, tell a story worth far more than their face value. Over the years, examples of this coin have surfaced in the most unexpected places. One might be sitting in an old change purse tucked away in a drawer, or buried in the dusty recesses of a cash register that hasn't been emptied in decades. Another could be mixed into the penny dish at a convenience store, just waiting for the right eyes to notice it. The thought that such value could be hidden in such a mundane object is what keeps collectors' hopes alive. Auction houses have seen spirited bidding wars for high-grade examples, with collectors determined to claim a piece of numismatic history. Each time a pristine 1982 no-mint mark penny crosses the auction block, it reinforces the lesson that in coin collecting, knowledge is power. Those who know what to look for stand to gain the most. And with millions of pennies still in existence, the possibility remains that more undiscovered treasures are out there, waiting to be found. This is the beauty of the hunt. It's not just about acquiring wealth, it's about the stories, the history, and the connection to a time and place that a simple coin can provide. The 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln cent has earned its place among the great modern rarities, not because it was intended to be special, but because it emerged from an era of change with a unique identity. Today, collectors continue to search rolls of pennies with the same excitement as treasure hunters on the trail of lost gold. They know that one day, perhaps in the very next roll, they could spot that distinctive date without a mint mark, weigh it, and realize they are holding something extraordinary. And when that day comes, the reward can be life-changing. After all, one of these humble little coins, in flawless condition, has been known to fetch as much as $45,958. In the world of coin collecting, every small detail matters. A tiny scratch, a faint marking, or even the absence of a mint mark can completely transform an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. And today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of a coin that's hiding in plain sight, the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. This isn't just pocket change, it's a small slice of American history that could be worth far more than you'd imagine. So sit back and get ready, because by the end of this journey, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. Let's start from the beginning, the year 1988. Ronald Reagan was in his final year as President of the United States. Gasoline cost less than $1 per gallon, and the average American was just beginning to experience the rapid growth of personal computers and new technologies. It was also a year filled with cultural milestones. Michael Jordan was dominating basketball courts, the film, Rain Man, took home the Academy Award for Best Picture, and people across the nation were listening to George Michael's Faith on cassette tapes. But quietly, in the bustling production lines of the United States Mint, something unusual was happening. The penny, an American icon, had been featuring Abraham Lincoln's bust since 1909. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical person rather than symbolic figures like Liberty. For nearly 8 decades, the Lincoln cent had been a staple of everyday commerce. By 1988, the coin had already gone through several material changes, most notably in 1982, when the composition shifted from mostly copper to a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This change was done to save production costs, as the rising price of copper had made it impractical to keep making solid copper pennies. In 1988, the U.S. Mint produced pennies in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins minted in Denver bear a tiny D under the date, and San Francisco coins, usually proofs, show an S. Philadelphia coins, however, traditionally did not have a mint mark for pennies, making them instantly identifiable. The absence of a mint mark on a 1988 penny means it came from Philadelphia, but the real intrigue is in the variations, errors, and rare conditions that can make these coins extremely valuable. At first glance, a 1988 penny might look unremarkable. Millions upon millions were struck that year, over $6 billion in total from the Philadelphia Mint alone. But here's the twist: not all pennies are created equal. Small differences in design details, accidental die changes, and production mistakes can make a world of difference. One of the most famous variations connected to the 1988 penny is the so-called 1988 double die and 1988 reverse of 1989 varieties. The reverse of 1989 variety occurs when a 1988 penny was mistakenly struck with the reverse design that was intended for 1989 coins. At a glance, the difference is in the designer's initials, FG, for Frank Gasparo, located to the right of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. On the 1988 reverse, the initials are spaced differently than on the 1989 version. It's an incredibly subtle difference, but collectors who know what to look for can spot it instantly. Finding this variety in high-grade condition can be like striking gold. Then there are double-die pennies, coins where the design appears to have been stamped twice, slightly out of alignment. This can create a shadow-like effect on the lettering, numbers, or even Lincoln's face. Doubled dies happen during the die creation process and are not post-mint damage, which is why they're highly collectible. A 1988 doubled die, particularly on the obverse, front, side, can be worth significantly more than face value, especially if it's in near-perfect condition. Speaking of condition, this is one of the most important factors in determining the value of any coin. Grading agencies like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, evaluate coins on a 70-point scale. A 1988 penny that's been in circulation, jostling around in pockets, coin jars, and cash registers, might be graded as fine or very fine. But if you find one that has never been spent, with its original mint luster intact, you're looking at an uncirculated, or even mint state, grade. The higher the grade, the higher the potential value. So, what exactly makes the 1988 no-mint mark penny so fascinating to collectors? It's a combination of rarity and top condition, the presence of specific varieties like the reverse of 1989, and the sheer nostalgia tied to coins from this era. Collectors today are not only interested in coins from centuries ago. Modern coins with unusual traits are becoming increasingly popular. In fact, as more people start searching their change jars and bank rolls, demand for rare modern coins is growing rapidly. Imagine this: you're sorting through a roll of pennies from your local bank, expecting nothing more than common copper-plated zinc cents, when suddenly you notice something different. The reverse design doesn't look quite right. You grab a magnifying glass, and there it is. The spacing of the FG initials matches the 1989 design. Your heart starts racing because you realize you're holding a 1988 reverse of 1989 penny in uncirculated condition. In the right collector's hands, that tiny coin could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Beyond varieties and errors, another factor that can influence value is the coin's overall eye appeal. Even two coins with the same grade can have different values if one has exceptional color, shine, or strike quality. Some pennies develop beautiful toning over time, where the surface takes on shades of gold, purple, or blue due to natural oxidation. While toning doesn't always increase value, certain patterns and colors can be highly desirable to collectors. It's also worth noting that coin collecting is not just about money, it's about history, art, and personal connection. Each penny tells a story. The 1988 no-mint mark penny represents a moment in American life when things were rapidly changing. The Cold War was nearing its end, technology was on the rise, and everyday items like this coin were silently circulating through the hands of millions of Americans. Somewhere in that mix, rare and valuable examples were created by accident, just waiting for sharp-eyed collectors to find them decades later. Collectors often advise beginners to start by learning how to examine coins closely. A simple jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass can reveal incredible details. For the 1988 penny, you'll want to study the lettering on the obverse, the FG initials on the reverse, and the sharpness of Lincoln's bust. Look for any signs of doubling, unusual spacing, or mint luster. And most importantly, if you think you've found something special, avoid cleaning the coin. Cleaning can drastically reduce its value, even if it makes the coin look shinier. Over the years, stories have emerged of people finding rare 1988 pennies in the most unexpected places, in old piggy banks, between couch cushions, or tucked away in coin albums they inherited from relatives. It's a reminder that valuable treasures can be hiding right under our noses. And unlike many collectibles that require a large investment, coin collecting can start with the change in your pocket. Another fascinating aspect of coins like the 1988 penny is how their value can increase over time. While millions of them were produced, most have been lost to wear, damage, or simply discarded as people move toward cashless payments. The number of surviving high-grade examples is shrinking every year, which naturally increases demand among collectors. This means that coins you find today could become even more valuable in the future. The penny's design itself is a work of art. Victor David Brenner's portrayal of Lincoln on the obverse captures both strength and compassion, a fitting tribute to the president who led the nation through its most challenging chapter. The reverse, featuring the Lincoln Memorial, serves as a reminder of his enduring legacy. On rare varieties like the reverse of 1989, that subtle design shift adds an extra layer of intrigue, almost like a secret detail hidden in plain sight. And here's the best part. This isn't just a collector's item for experts. Anyone can start looking for rare 1988 pennies. All it takes is awareness, patience, and curiosity. Whether you're searching through your change jar, checking rolls from the bank, or browsing at coin shows, you never know when you might spot one of these hidden treasures. The 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that even the smallest, most ordinary objects can hold incredible stories and surprising value. It's a coin that reminds us to pay attention to the little things, because sometimes, the little things turn out to be big things in disguise. So the next time you come across a penny from this year, take a closer look. The year was 1993. The United States was buzzing with change. Technology was advancing rapidly, music and culture were evolving, and the coinage produced by the U.S. Mint seemed routine to most people. Millions of coins flowed out of the Denver Mint that year, each stamped with the small D Mint mark. Among them was the humble Lincoln 1-cent penny, made primarily for everyday transactions, school vending machines, and grocery store change. At first glance, these coins looked completely ordinary, and for most people, they still do. But what if I told you that hidden within the massive number of 1993 D pennies lies a version so rare, so unique, and so sought after that a single one could change someone's financial life overnight? Yes, this story isn't about a gold coin or an ancient treasure. It's about a 1-cent piece that, to the untrained eye, seems worthless but has stunned collectors with its shocking value. Let's take a journey into the world of coin collecting, history, minting errors, and rarity factors that turn a penny into a jackpot. By the end of this story, you might find yourself digging through old change jars, coin rolls from the bank, or even that forgotten coffee can in the attic, hoping to discover one of these incredible pieces. First, let's rewind to the beginning, the making of the Lincoln penny. The design we know today was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse, or front, of the coin proudly displays Lincoln's profile, while the reverse has gone through changes over the decades, from wheat stalks to the Lincoln Memorial, and more recently, the Union Shield. By 1993, the penny was being struck in huge numbers, billions per year, at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The Denver Mint, which uses the D Mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of 1993 pennies. Most were copper-plated zinc, a composition adopted in 1982 to reduce minting costs. They were meant for circulation, not for collecting. But every so often, during the minting process, something unusual happens: a striking error, a wrong planchet, a doubled die, or even a perfect uncirculated strike that survives decades without a single scratch. And when that happens, collectors take notice. The 1993 D penny's fame comes from a combination of rarity in pristine condition and a handful of error types that have captured the attention of coin experts worldwide. In the high grades, those graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as MS67 or higher, these coins are nearly flawless, with bright luster, sharp details, and absolutely no marks visible without magnification. Achieving this level of preservation for a coin that spent decades in circulation is almost unheard of. But condition isn't the only factor. Some of these 1993 D pennies display doubling, where certain parts of the design appear to be stamped twice. Doubling on the date, the mint mark, or the words, "In God We Trust," is an instant red flag for collectors that the coin may be something special. Another known variation is an off-center strike, where the design is misaligned, creating a blank crescent on the coin's edge. The rarer and more dramatic the error, the higher the value. Then there are planchet errors, where the coin is struck on the wrong metal blank. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet or on a planchet intended for a foreign coin. These oddities are almost always destroyed during quality checks, but a few slip through and find their way into circulation. For a 1993 penny, a wrong planchet strike could skyrocket its value into the stratosphere. The fascinating thing about this particular year and mint mark is how few have survived in top condition despite the massive production run. Many coins from 1993 were heavily circulated, used in everyday commerce, and tossed into jars without a second thought. Zinc pennies are also notorious for developing spots, discoloration, or corrosion over time, making pristine survivors even rarer. Collectors are drawn to coins like this not just for their rarity but also for the thrill of the hunt. Finding one in the wild is like winning the lottery. Some stories have emerged of people discovering high-grade examples in pocket change or inherited coin collections. Imagine pulling out a penny from a dusty box and realizing it could pay off your debts, fund your next vacation, or even help you buy a car. The world of numismatics, the study and collecting of coins, is full of these hidden treasure stories. But it's not all luck. Knowledge plays a big role. Experienced collectors study the details, the sharpness of the strike, the mint luster, the absence of wear, and the tiny differences that separate a valuable coin from an ordinary one. They use magnifying glasses, special lighting, and even microscopes to inspect coins. They know which years and mint marks to target, and the 1993 penny has become one of those key coins on their radar. Of course, not every 1993 penny is valuable. Most are worth just face value, 1 cent. But the exceptional ones, those that combine perfect condition with rarity, or an unusual mint error, can fetch staggering prices at auction. When these coins show up at major coin shows or in online bidding wars, the competition can get fierce. Collectors and dealers from around the world place their bids, each hoping to add a prize specimen to their collection. Let's not forget the role of grading. In coin collecting, grading is everything. Two coins from the same year and mint can have vastly different values depending on their grade. A 1993 penny in average circulated condition might be worth almost nothing, while one graded MS67, MS68, or higher could sell for thousands. Professional grading not only gives a coin an official certification but also assures buyers of its authenticity and quality. So, what makes this particular penny's top value example so extraordinary? Imagine a coin struck with absolute precision, perfectly centered, with shimmering copper luster as if it were minted yesterday. Every detail of Lincoln's face is sharp, the lettering is crisp, and there's not a single mark from handling or storage. This coin never rattled in a pocket, never slid across a counter, never got dropped on the floor. It somehow escaped the wear and tear of everyday life for decades. When such a coin is discovered, it's like finding a time capsule. It tells a story, not just of the year it was made, but of the care and chance that preserved it. These stories are what make coin collecting more than just a hobby, they turn it into a passion. Some collectors are even willing to pay a premium for coins with special backstories. For example, if a coin came from a famous collection or was part of a well-publicized auction, its value might increase simply because of its history. The 1993 penny has had its moments in the spotlight at high-profile auctions, making headlines for its eye-popping selling price. The demand for rare pennies is not slowing down. As more people learn about coins like the 1993 penny, the market becomes even more competitive. And with the increasing popularity of online marketplaces, collectors have more opportunities than ever to find, or sell, these treasures. It's worth noting that coin values can fluctuate over time. Market trends, collector interest, and even the economy can influence prices. But exceptional coins, those in the top percentile of rarity and condition, tend to hold their value and often appreciate in the long run. That's why serious collectors see them not just as beautiful pieces of history, but also as investments. Now you might be wondering, could I have one of these valuable coins right now? The answer is, absolutely. It's entirely possible that an overlooked penny sitting in your coin jar is worth far more than you think. That's why it's so important to check your change and learn what to look for. When searching for a valuable 1993 penny, pay close attention to the coin's overall condition. Look for sharp details and original mint luster. Any unusual doubling in the lettering, date, or mint mark. Off-center strikes or other striking errors coins that appear unusually thin, thick, or different in color. Possible planchet errors. If you find something that looks promising, it's worth having it examined by a professional grading service. You might just discover that you've been holding a small fortune in the palm of your hand. Over the years, stories have surfaced of ordinary people finding rare pennies while sorting through bank rolls, estate sales, or flea markets. These moments remind us that treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places. And now, we come to the most jaw-dropping fact of all. Among the rarest, highest graded, and most pristine examples of the 1993 D. Lincoln penny, one spectacular coin stunned collectors at auction. The hammer dropped, the bidding ended, and the winning offer was an unbelievable $48,298. The Lincoln 1-cent penny has been an iconic part of American currency for well over a century. While most people carry them in their pockets without giving them a second thought, coin collectors and enthusiasts know that some of these humble copper-plated coins can be worth far more than a single cent. Today, we are diving deep into one particular penny that may look ordinary at first glance, yet hides a fascinating history and a surprising potential value. The 2002 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. To understand why a seemingly common coin like this can become desirable to collectors, we have to explore its background, its design, its production, and the small but crucial details that can make one example worth significantly more than face value. The journey of this coin begins in the early 2000s, during a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies each year. The D Mint mark on this penny tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado. This facility has been producing coins for the United States since 1906 and is known for creating coins with sharp details and consistent quality. In 2002, the Denver Mint struck a massive number of Lincoln cents, totaling in the billions. Because so many were made, most ended up in circulation, passing from hand to hand in everyday transactions. However, as with all mass-produced items, not every coin was identical. Tiny variations, striking errors, and pristine preservation set a select few apart from the rest. The design of the 2002 D penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. On the obverse, we see the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. By 2002, Brenner's portrait had been used for more than 90 years, making it the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history. Surrounding Lincoln's portrait are the inscriptions, "In God We Trust." Along the top, "Liberty," to the left, and the date, 2002, to the right, with the D Mint mark positioned just below the date. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the reverse design created by Frank Gasparo in 1959, the Lincoln Memorial. The memorial appears in remarkable detail, complete with the statue of Lincoln visible between the central columns. Above it reads, "United States of America," and the national motto, "E pluribus unum." At the bottom, the denomination, 1 cent, is proudly displayed. It's a design that countless Americans have seen but rarely studied closely. What makes a 2002 D Lincoln penny worth more than 1 cent? Several factors come into play. First, the condition of the coin is crucial. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a flawless specimen. A penny that has been in circulation will show signs of wear, scratches, dullness, and discoloration, which reduce its value. On the other hand, a coin that was never spent and has been carefully preserved can command much higher prices. The most sought-after examples are those in mint state condition, meaning they look exactly as they did the day they left the mint. These coins have sharp details, no wear, and often a brilliant luster that makes them stand out. Collectors prize them because they are rare survivors of the original mintage, especially for more recent coins that most people didn't think to save. Errors are another reason a modern penny might be worth significantly more. During the minting process, mistakes can occur that produce coins with unusual characteristics. These errors might include off-center strikes, double dies, missing elements, or improper planchets. Because they are unintentional and occur infrequently, error coins are highly collectible. For the 2002 D penny, Some of the more interesting errors include doubled dies, where the lettering or design appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment during striking. Other examples may have die cracks, where a fracture in the die leaves raised lines on the coin's surface. A few rare specimens might even be struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, leading to dramatic and valuable mistakes. Collectors also pay close attention to coins with exceptional eye appeal. This can mean a particularly vibrant luster, attractive toning, or an unusually sharp strike. Even without an error, a coin that looks exceptional can attract competition among buyers and drive up its price. The market for modern pennies like the 2002D has grown in recent years. While older coins naturally carry historical value, newer coins in pristine condition are increasingly recognized for their scarcity in high grades. This is because the vast majority of pennies are used in daily commerce and quickly acquire signs of wear. Finding a 2002D penny that is still in gem condition is not as easy as it may sound. Coin grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) and the Numismatic Guarantee Company (NGC) play a big role in determining a coin's market value. A penny certified by one of these services with a high grade, such as MS67 or MS68, can fetch impressive sums, especially if it has an appealing strike and strong luster. Collectors often prefer certified coins because they come with a guarantee of authenticity and condition. In addition to condition and errors, provenance can also affect value. A coin from a notable collection, or one with a documented history of being part of an important hoard, may carry a premium. While this is more common with older coins, some modern examples gain notoriety through high-profile sales or media coverage. It's worth noting that even though billions of 2002D pennies were minted, the number of top-quality examples is a small fraction of that total. The majority will always be worth face value, but for the few that meet collector standards, the value can be many thousands of times higher. This is why some people carefully inspect their change, because treasures can still be found in the most ordinary places. Imagine holding a coin that has passed through countless hands, only to discover it is one of the rarest and most pristine examples from its year. That thrill of discovery is one of the reasons coin collecting has such enduring appeal. Another aspect to consider is that coins like the 2002D penny are a part of living history. They reflect the artistry, technology, and economics of the time in which they were made. In 2002, the U.S. economy was in a period of recovery following the early 2000s recession. The penny itself had already cost more than 1 cent to produce due to rising metal prices, yet it remained in circulation as a symbol of tradition and continuity. Over time, the Lincoln Memorial design would be retired, replaced in 2009 by a series of bicentennial designs and then by the Union Shield reverse in 2010. This makes coins like the 2002D part of the last full decade of the Lincoln Memorial since, adding a nostalgic element for collectors who grew up seeing this design. For anyone hoping to find a valuable 2002D penny, the best place to start is by examining coins in uncirculated rolls or mint sets from that year. These sources offer the best chance of finding coins in pristine condition. Using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, you can check for sharp details, lack of wear, and potential errors. If you believe you've found an exceptional example, sending it to a professional grading service can help determine its true market potential. It's also important to remember that the coin market can fluctuate. Prices for certain coins can rise or fall depending on demand, discoveries of new hoards, or changes in collecting trends. However, coins in the highest grades and with the rarest errors tend to hold their value well over time. The 2002D Lincoln penny is a reminder that even the smallest coin can carry a story, a history, and a potential value that far exceeds its face value. Whether you are a seasoned collector or a curious beginner, taking the time to learn about coins like this can open the door to a fascinating and potentially rewarding hobby. And now, for those wondering exactly how high the value of the finest known 2002D Lincoln 1-cent penny can reach, there have been examples sold for as much as $8,298. Welcome back to our channel, where we uncover the hidden treasures that could be sitting quietly in your coin jar, your dresser drawer, or perhaps rattling around at the bottom of your pocket. Today, We're about to dive into a coin that's younger than most collectors expect for something that can be worth a serious amount of money. The United States of America 2007 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. You might think, 2007? That's not old enough to be rare. But trust me, after this deep dive, you might find yourself combing through your loose change with a brand new purpose. Let's start with a bit of history, because no coin truly exists without a story. The Lincoln cent has been a part of American pockets and purses since 1909, when it was introduced to honor the 100th birthday of the 16th President, Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse side of the coin, featuring Lincoln's profile, has remained essentially unchanged for over a century, making it the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history. The reverse has gone through changes, but in 2007, we were still seeing the famous Lincoln Memorial design, a staple that had been introduced back in 1959. The 2007 penny itself is part of the final years of the Memorial reverse design, which was soon to be replaced in 2009 with special bicentennial editions, and then permanently swapped out for the Union Shield reverse in 2010. That alone makes it interesting, because it's from the end of an era in American coinage. But what truly sets some 2007 pennies apart, especially those struck with the D Mint mark, isn't just their place in history, but the fact that certain examples are worth far more than just a single cent. So, what's with the D Mint mark? This small letter, located just below the date on the obverse, tells us that the coin was minted at the Denver Mint in Colorado. In 2007, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies, so at first glance, it would seem that these coins are incredibly common. And they are, if you're talking about regular, worn, circulated examples. You can easily find them in pocket change, and most people wouldn't give them a second thought. But here's where the plot thickens. Some of these coins were struck in such flawless condition, or with such unusual errors, that they stand out dramatically in the eyes of collectors. Let's talk about the first factor that can make your 2007 D penny valuable: its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin under 5x magnification. Most pennies you find in change have been through countless hands, jingled in pockets, and scraped against other coins in cash registers. That kind of wear instantly drops their value to face value, 1 cent. But uncirculated examples, especially those graded MS67, MS68, or even the elusive MS69 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can sell for impressive amounts. Why? Because collectors strive to complete high-grade sets. And when a coin has no scratches, no spots, and a sharp, crisp strike, it becomes much more desirable. Imagine finding a 2007 D penny so clean it looks like it just rolled off the minting press yesterday. That's the kind of specimen that can command hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now, let's step into the fascinating world of mint errors, because this is where even an ordinary-looking penny can become a jackpot find. Mint errors are unintentional mistakes that occur during the coin production process. And in 2007, a number of these errors slipped through quality control and found their way into circulation. For example, there are off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted because the blank coin wasn't positioned correctly during striking. Sometimes you might find double dies, where parts of the design appear doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. Other rare mistakes include clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin's edge is missing, or wrong planchet errors, where a penny was accidentally struck on a metal blank intended for another denomination. Each of these errors can dramatically increase the value of a coin, especially if they are dramatic and in high-grade condition. Collectors love these one-of-a-kind mistakes, because they're physical evidence of how unpredictable the minting process can be. Another important detail about the 2007 penny is its composition. This coin is made primarily of zinc, with a thin copper plating, unlike older Lincoln cents that were made of 95% copper. The switch to zinc in 1982 was done for cost reasons, but it has an interesting side effect. Zinc-based pennies tend to corrode more easily when exposed to moisture. That means finding a pristine 2007 penny, even though it's relatively young, can be more challenging than you might expect. So, How can you tell if your 2007 penny is special? First, check the condition. Look for coins that still have full luster, no visible scratches, and no discoloration. Second, inspect the coin closely with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe for signs of doubling, striking errors, or unusual markings. Finally, if you believe you have something exceptional, consider submitting it to a professional grading service. A small fee can turn into a huge return if your coin grades extremely high. And let's not forget, rarity isn't always about age. Just because a coin is modern doesn't mean it can't be scarce in top condition or with rare errors. In fact, many collectors are starting to realize that today's pocket change could be tomorrow's prized rarity. When coins are new, people don't think to save them. Years later, when the few surviving high-grade examples become hard to find, their value skyrockets. It's worth noting that collectors often focus on building sets of Lincoln Memorial pennies in the best grades possible. When a certain date and mint mark combination proves difficult to find in near-perfect condition, the demand for that specific coin increases dramatically. That's exactly what has happened with the 2007 penny. Finding it in pristine, gem-quality condition is surprisingly difficult despite its massive original mintage. Now picture this. You're sorting through your coins and you spot a 2007 penny that looks brand new. You set it aside, maybe do a little research online, and discover it has virtually no blemishes. You decide to get it graded, and the result comes back as MS-68. Suddenly, what was once worth a penny is now worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's the thrill of the hunt, the possibility that something ordinary could actually be extraordinary. And here's a fun fact. Some of the most valuable 2007 pennies have sold at major coin auctions, often surprising even the seasoned collectors in the room. The winning bidders weren't just paying for the coin. They were paying for its perfection, its rarity in that grade, and the bragging rights of owning one of the finest known examples. This is why checking your change is more than just a hobby, it's a modern-day treasure hunt. Every coin you handle has a story, and some of those stories are worth telling, and worth a lot of money. Whether it's a flawless mint state specimen, a rare era coin, or simply a piece of history from the end of the Lincoln Memorial era, the 2007 penny has all the potential to be a sleeper hit in the world of collectibles. Of course, not every penny you find will be a hidden gem. Most will be worth exactly what they say, 1 cent. But the point is, you never know until you look closely. That's what separates the casual spender from the sharp-eyed collector. The difference between tossing a coin into a vending machine and realizing you just let a small fortune slip away can be as simple as taking a few extra seconds to inspect what's in your hand. So, the next time you get change from a store, don't just shove it in your pocket and forget about it. Take a moment. Look at the dates. Check the mint marks. Examine the details. Because somewhere out there, mixed in with millions of ordinary pennies, there's a 2007 that could be your ticket to a nice payday. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the record auction value for a 2007 mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny in the highest condition ever found. In pristine, top-graded condition, one of these coins sold for an astonishing $19,266. The Lincoln 1 cent coin is more than just loose change that jingles at the bottom of your pocket or hides in a jar on your kitchen counter. It's a piece of American history, a symbol of enduring legacy, and sometimes, a ticket to surprising fortune. Today, we're diving into a coin that most people would overlook, a 2007 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, and uncovering why collectors are paying close attention to it. On the surface, the 2007 Lincoln cent doesn't appear to be anything special. It still features that familiar and reassuring profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed over a century ago by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's face, the word, Liberty, to the left, the year 2007, to the right, and the iconic motto, In God We Trust, arching proudly across the top. The reverse still holds the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, with its rows of columns and that tiny, nearly hidden statue of Lincoln seated within. It's a design that millions of Americans have seen countless times in their lives. And yet, despite its ordinary appearance, there's a twist. This particular penny has no mint mark. Now, for anyone unfamiliar with coin collecting, that detail might seem minor. After all, the absence of a mint mark simply means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But in the world of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, every small detail matters. A missing letter, a subtle error in the strike, an unusual luster, or even the way the metal flows during production can transform a coin from pocket change into a coveted collector's treasure. The 2007 no-mint mark Lincoln penny was struck in massive quantities, billions, in fact. This makes finding one in ordinary circulated condition relatively easy. But here's the catch: condition is everything. A coin fresh from the mint, with no wear, sharp details, and pristine surfaces, is far rarer than you might think. These are called mint state coins, and collectors will pay far more for them than for a well-worn penny that's been rattling around in pockets for 15 years. So what exactly makes some of these 2007 no-mint mark pennies worth far more than their face value? Let's break it down. First, the strike quality. When a coin is struck, the dies press the design into the metal with incredible force. If the dies are brand new, the details are razor sharp. Every line in Lincoln's hair, every fold in his coat, every edge of the Lincoln Memorial's columns. Coins like this stand out to collectors immediately. If your penny looks as though it just rolled off the mint presses yesterday, you're already ahead of the game. Second, the luster. Fresh copper-plated zinc coins have a bright, almost glowing red surface. Over time, this luster fades to a duller brown. But if you find a 2007 penny that has retained its fiery red shine across the entire surface, you might have something special. Third, errors and varieties. Sometimes, the minting process doesn't go exactly as planned. A die might crack, creating raised lines on the coin. The die might strike the planchet slightly off-center, leaving part of the design missing. Or the dies might not line up perfectly, producing what's known as doubling, where parts of the design appear doubled or shadowed. For example, doubling might be visible in the date 2007, the word Liberty, or the letters of In God We Trust. These errors are often sought after by collectors because they're like mint-made mistakes, frozen in metal. While the majority of 2007 no-mint mark Lincoln cents are worth just 1 cent, a small number with exceptional qualities can command far higher prices. High-grade examples certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, especially those graded at MS67 or higher, can sell for significant sums. The higher the grade, the fewer examples exist, and the more collectors are willing to compete for them. Now, let's talk about why this particular year matters. 2007 marked the final years before a major design change for the Lincoln cent. In 2009, the U.S. Mint released 4 different reverse designs to celebrate the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the coin itself. After that, the Lincoln Memorial reverse, which had been in place for half a century, was replaced by the Union Shield design in 2010. That means the 2007 penny is one of the last to feature the memorial, giving it an extra touch of nostalgia for collectors. But here's where things get interesting. Even though billions of 2007 pennies were minted, the number of coins preserved in flawless condition is small. Most went straight into circulation, bouncing from hand to hand, getting scratched, tarnished, and worn down. Only a small fraction were carefully saved by collectors, dealers, or lucky finders who spotted their quality early. That's why uncirculated examples are valuable, and why it's worth checking every penny you come across. If you're wondering how to check the value of your own 2007 penny, here's what to do. Check the mint mark, or in this case, note the lack of one. This confirms it's from the Philadelphia Mint. Look closely at the condition. Are Lincoln's cheek and jaw smooth from wear, or are they crisp and sharp? Does the penny still have that full, red copper glow? Inspect for errors. Use a magnifying glass to examine the date, the lettering, and the edges of the design. Any unusual doubling, die cracks, or off-center strikes could mean a premium value. Compare it to price guides and recent auction sales. Even within the same grade, prices can vary depending on market demand and rarity. It's also important to remember that coin collecting is a mix of history, artistry, and market forces. Some coins become valuable overnight when a new variety is discovered. Others slowly climb in value over decades as surviving examples disappear into collections. The 2007 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent has the advantage of being modern enough for people to still find in circulation, yet old enough to start attracting serious collector interest. Think of it this way: every coin tells a story. This penny has traveled through the years, through countless pockets and cash registers, maybe through your own hands without you realizing it. Somewhere out there, in a drawer, a coin jar, or a forgotten envelope, could be a pristine example worth far more than 1 cent. And finding one is like discovering a tiny time capsule from 2007, a year when the first iPhone was released, when gasoline prices were hitting record highs, and when America was still a couple of years away from the Great Recession. So the next time you get change at the store, don't dismiss that little brown coin. Give it a closer look. You might see sharp details in Lincoln's beard, the glint of an untouched copper surface, or even an unusual flaw that makes it one of a kind. That's the magic of coin collecting. You never know when something ordinary might turn out to be extraordinary. And now, the question you've been waiting for: how much can the most exceptional 2007 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny be worth? Well, while most are worth only face value, the highest graded, pristine examples, especially those certified by top grading companies, have been known to sell for as much as $9,266.